Go retweet it.
Done.
Damn it. You got it faster.
Haha.
I wish we had some music. Drew, you're musically talented. Give us a little beat. Perfect. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you, Drew, for that beautiful little beatboxing. How's everyone doing?
Better now. Did you hear that?
Better now? Better now, maybe, because I do believe it's going to be a feisty Friday for everyone watching. It's going to be a fun episode to hear everyone's opinions. But first, I'm not sure about you guys, but I've definitely needed some sort of distraction every few hours from the news and social media the last few days. And I've been using WGT Golf as that distraction and trying to prepare for the major we're hosting this weekend, starting today, Friday through Sunday. The DNVR family will be playing the Election Open at Congressional Country Club. All of our DNVR country clubs can participate, and the best news is anyone can win some awesome prizes, not just the best players, which helps out players like me who just aren't as good and want to get better. And this is just like a little incentive, a little sprinkle of like, maybe I can win some fun stuff. All you got to do is enter into the closest hole challenge at Congressional and submit your screenshot to our pinned Twitter thread on DNVR_sports. Or you can email your picture to info@thednvr.com. Once you have entered to win, we will choose a random winner each week to pick out a DNVR shirt of their choice and a mask, and we'll ship it to you. If you haven't downloaded WGT yet, do not worry. You can still get in on this offer. Join the DNVR3 Country Club by going to dnvrgolf.com. Has anyone played WGT yet? The major?
Not yet. I just taking a distraction from the election to play the Election Open.
I know. You just got to forget about the name. You know, the name had to be like relevant, but
No, I know.
Yeah, but you're still playing a game on your phone that doesn't involve seeing a lot of people's tweets. So I'm excited. I like closest to the hole, I think, the best because I don't have to play 18 full holes. Spencer, you may disagree with this as a golfer. Do you like playing the 18 holes on WGT, or are you a fan of the closest to the hole?
Close to the hole is a little more fun for me too. I get easily distracted by a lot of things, so one close to the holes is good for me. I still got to hone my WGT skills, though. I am not near as good at that as I am in real life, so that's a problem.
As a Guitar Hero to you as like somebody who knows how to actually play the guitar and is like terrible at Guitar Hero.
Right.
I was gonna say, as someone with a short attention span, it's a good thing you dedicated your life to a game that takes 4 hours to play.
Well, I'm firing off tweets in between each shot, checking social media. Yeah, I'm not like locked in for 4.5 hours. Probably about 10 minutes total.
I was going to say, you might not be able to beat a golf pro on the actual golf course, but you could beat a golf pro at WGT. It's pretty fun.
I'm going to get slapped by everyone.
I personally witnessed Rudo play a near immaculate closest to the pin challenge.
Yeah, I have to wait for Eric to watch me. His booze just feed me as I play.
I was like, because I had played a pretty like ho-hum round. I felt decent about it, and then I watched Rudo's near immaculate round, and I was like, what am I even doing? What is this?
This guy's on a different level.
Don't forget to download WGT Golf. Go to dnvrgolf.com. It's a bunch of fun, and you get to play against all of us. Welcome into the Denver Sports Podcast presented by Breckenridge Brewery. Is anyone drinking a Breck Brew? Rudo, Drew, my guys?
I finished my Breck Brew yesterday.
Strawberry Sky, the absolute best. It is
I'm
the
at
official
work,
beer
but
of
I'm
DNVR.
not drinking.
Good call.
I like how you verbally say that, but for all the people watching the live stream, they're like, actually. I'm your host, Allie Monroy, and with me today, I've got Rudo, Drew Kreisman, Big Drive Spencer Smith, D-Line, Eric, and RK. And today, like I said, is probably going to be a feisty Friday, as the topic of the day is a bit controversial, and that is thoughts on fans booing in any sport in general, the way players react to fans, and all that good stuff. So before we jump into that actual topic and hearing everyone's opinion, I do want to start off with giving the backstory as to why this is, sorry.
Everybody boo the sirens.
You're ruining it, sirens.
Oh, wait, did we just boo first responders here on the?
Oh God!
Like whatever they're doing is more important than what we're doing, right?
Just we are canceled.
Am I back? Let's not boo Eric.
You
with
said
that.
boo. What?
What? No, I was
I
talking
think that was
about.
Rudo.
That's definitely me.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was muted. I couldn't say anything.
I'm easily encourageable. I don't know who. I just need the slightest.
Just want
Okay.
to group, man.
First, I want to give the backstory as to why we are talking about this. The Broncos are on a 2-game win streak. They beat the LA Chargers 31-30 on Sunday in a crazy comeback win. The butt cheek game, as many are calling it. First, Ryan, what are a few takeaways you had from that game besides butt cheeks?
Yeah, first of
There
all,
were other takeaways.
butt cheeks. Second of all, Drew Lock got his swagger back, and that is extremely good news for the Broncos. Extremely good news for Drew Lock, because, man, were people ready to give up on him. And, I mean, really, he was 15 minutes away from the fan base revolting against him. You already had certain media members talking about benching him at halftime, so it was not trending well for Drew Lock, and rightfully so. He wasn't playing good football. But you saw him get a little bit of mojo when he throws the touchdown to Deshaun Hamilton. You kind of saw him throw the backpack on and strut his stuff down the field. And, you know, for me, I noticed that. I was like, oh, okay. He feels it. He feels like they're going to go win this game. And for them to go do it, and there was a lot that went into it, but Drew Lock was a really big part of it. I think we're gonna look back on that as a turning point for him this season, when he kind of got back to who Drew Lock really is and stopped worrying about, you know, what it means to be a franchise quarterback, all the pressure, and just started being Drew Lock. And I think you'll see that translate this week.
Oh yeah, confident Drew Lock was something else, and we did see that last year when he was starting those last few games of the season. But we really haven't seen it this year after his injury. The big hate I saw on social media, Ryan, was that Philip Lindsay was killing it when he did get carries, but he wasn't getting as many carries as Melvin Gordon. So people were mad at that. You touched a little bit about that on the DNVR Broncos podcast, talking about how, well, Philip Lindsay was out of game plan for a while since he might not be playing on Sunday. So could you go into a little more detail? Because I think fans were really upset about that one, which, to their defense, I kind of agree.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. You have to be malleable in your game plan. You have to be able to say, hey, what we're doing is not working with Melvin Gordon. Let's run Philip Lindsay more. And it's something that has been a storyline that surrounds Philip Lindsay since I started watching him play football, all the way, you know, I guess ever since he left Denver South High School, because they've certainly fed him the rock plenty. But ever since then, it's just always been a debate with Philip Lindsay. Should he be getting the ball more? And to me, the answer is always yes. This last weekend, I just give the Broncos coaching staff a little bit of a pass because he wasn't on the practice field for most of the week. But in general, we just need more Philip Lindsay always. You need to feed him the rock. I was on the radio with our friends over at Altitude today, and I said Philip Lindsay's like a really loose slot machine. If you put in enough coins, you're going to hit a jackpot. And that's what happened for the Broncos in that game. They got lucky. They put a coin in, and Phil took it 55 yards the other way and really turned the game on its head. So I think the Broncos understand that. There's a little bit of like a protection thing going on, but they know that their best path to a victory every week involves a lot of Philip Lindsay.
How did everyone else feel about that comeback win? Drew, you just keep saying all Drews are great. What did you think of that game?
Fact of life, you can't count Drew's out. Don't ever count out a Drew. Not in the clutch, not when it's clutch time. My man Drew came through. That's what Drews do.
Are we including Butera?
Look, man, Drew Butera has a beautiful head of hair. Really, just one of the great. Drew Butera has like a career batting average of 190 and has over a decade of MLB experience and a World Series championship ring. So yeah, I'm going to include Drew Butera. He figured it out.
Yeah. I call him Drew Goodhara.
We all do. That's what everyone does.
Correct.
Oh, goodness. Get out of here with that. All right, Eric, you mentioned that after that.
100% success rate in predicting home runs. Drews are good.
You're going to say a 100% success rate in winning Colorado Sportscaster of the Year.
I think that might be right as well, doesn't he?
I think he has like 74 of those.
All right, Eric, you said that you were a little bit out on the Broncos after that tough Chiefs loss the week a few weeks ago. Wait, yeah. I was like, wait, when was that?
Yeah.
Time is just going so slow.
Yeah, I would say
now you're bought in.
I would say out is the wrong word. I would say excited. Like my enthusiasm had been dampered.
Okay.
I was explaining to everybody beforehand, like my Broncos fandom is so inherent to who I am, and I don't really realize it until the beast is reawakened. And things have been bad for a while, but I've realized like I only ever bury it like no more than just 1 inch under the surface, and it takes just one play, and I'm just like, I'm back. Let's go, let's go. So the Chiefs game was demoralizing because you may or may not know this. They're in our division, and they're somebody we have to play twice every year, and it's.
I don't think anyone knew that actually.
And it's not good when they're the measuring stick and you just get absolutely beat down with that stick.
They're better. They're the best.
They're a better team. So, but like it just reminds you. Just having gone through, obviously focusing on the Nuggets so heavily over the past several years, just what it looks like when you actually allow a young team to mature and grow and meld together and find, a path where they're able to become greater than the sum of their parts and get confidence as a squad. And so it's like really encouraging to see exactly that happen. Like the Broncos get down to a place where like really their backs are against the wall. They're losing the popular vote all across Denver. Drew Lock, like people are, they just because unfortunately for whatever reason, some quarterbacks come into the league and just absolutely hit the ground running. But it's just such an unrealistic expectation that people just have for whatever reason. So to see him like just absolutely hit dire straits in the eyes of, Denver as a whole and respond in that way was just so encouraging. I just can't, it just gives me so much. I was never out on Drew Lock, but, you just saw the Twitter chatter and it was just so disheartening to see him like turn it around in such a thunderous way. It was just so satisfying. It was great.
Spence, you were actually at the game on Sunday. What was that comeback like? I know so many people wish they could have been there on Sunday. Eric mentioned in our Slack after the game, like, can you imagine the noise at the end of the game if fans were all in there like normal? How is that like to be in the stadium?
It was very socially distant, quiet party at the end, but it's loud enough to where you can get it. If every one of the 5,700 or whatever is in there is cheering, it actually gets fairly loud. I was pretty close to the field, but players can definitely hear what people are saying more. I think Ryan talked about that in a podcast. And we'll probably get into that a little later about exactly what went down, but it was louder than I thought, and especially the boos at halftime. But at the end of the game, I was jumping up and down. It was a blast. It was louder than I thought it would be. Let's put it that way. When everybody got even like the defense chants and like third down and when they play the music, but I did note I couldn't tell for sure. I think they still had pumped in crowd noise because there was like something going on and I was like looking around and no one was really saying anything or doing anything, but there was just noise and you could hear it kind of like a roar type of deal. And I was like, I'm not sure what's happening here. But so I think they were still pumping a little bit of noise in, but it was fairly loud for what I expected it to be.
Ryan, have you heard any of that, of them pumping noise still throughout the stadium?
No, I haven't, but it wouldn't surprise me. You're allowed to, so.
Yeah. Spencer, how is that whole process like being in the stadium? The safety measures you guys have to go to. Of course, not many fans get to experience that right now.
To be honest, I mean, coronavirus has been terrible. It's been nothing but bad for basically humans, bars, businesses. I mean, there's nothing good about it, really. Other than
This is a great take.
You got to build 2 humans. When you start at humans, you're only working your way smaller.
Right.
This is one of the top takes.
Just the actual experience was incredible. You walk in, there's nobody, not a single person in line. We got through security in 20 seconds. It takes you 25 to 30 seconds to go to the bathroom, get a beer, and get back to your seat. And you don't miss anything. It's great. I accidentally high-fived a sarcastic Chargers fan before, and Kylie gave me a look like, dude, come on, what are you doing? Like COVID. And I was like, yeah, you know. And then I tried to find him after the game after I had like 6 more drinks, but he was nowhere to be found.
I'm sure you hand sanitize. Kylie made you hand sanitize your hands.
Oh yeah, we had that thing strapped on our belt. You know, it's just insta sanitized.
Boom.
But the thing with the mask, you know, I get it. Like I'm totally fine wearing a mask if I get to go, but they are very strict on that for sure. So if you plan on going to a game, like they have, you know, like kind of I relate it to like a golf event when they have the quiet please signs. They have just signs that say masks please or masks required. And they'll just like the ushers just look up at everybody in the section, and they'll just kind of look at somebody and hold it straight up, like looking right at them until they pull their mask up. And then so it was constantly, that was really the only, other than the fight in the section in front of us, that was really the only thing the ushers were doing.
Other than the fight, hold up.
There was a fight in front of you?
Oh, it was wild. Yeah, the section below us, there was 4 Charger fans and then 4 Broncos fans socially distanced about 6 feet from each other. And within about 5 minutes, they were all pretty much piled on top of each other, swinging.
Oh my god!
It was outstanding.
Fans still gonna be fans. I mean,
oh yeah, they were chirping. The Chargers fans were chirping, and then the Charger fans ended up getting kicked out at the beginning of the 4th quarter, and the Broncos fans got to stay. But yeah, they were definitely instigating it the whole time, and the Broncos fans finally had enough of it. So it was pretty funny.
As long as they kept their masks on.
Oh yeah, you can swing hands. Just keep that face covered.
Someone's just spraying hand sanitizer over the pile.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, that leads us into the incredible comeback that the Broncos made. The Broncos were down 24-3, and like you mentioned, there were boos at halftime in the stadium, and it was pretty loud. You could hear it through the TV. I do want to go around and talk about everyone's thoughts on booing when it comes to any team, not just football. But I know some people really, really hate it and others don't necessarily care. And then other people's are okay with it. So I want us to have a good discussion, just kind of talking about our thoughts on it, since it is a bit more of a controversial topic. So Drew, I'm going to start with you because this idea came from you and me talking about it in the DNVR Broncos live stream on Monday. So what are your thoughts on it? Why are you against it?
Okay, so a couple of things I got to make clear here. One, I don't tell anybody else how to fan. You want to express your opinion as a paying customer. You want to go out there and boo people, have at it. I'm not going to call you a bad fan or say you're not a true fan for booing your team or any of that nonsense, right? My only thing is this. So I have a rule for myself, and that rule is I'm only going to boo somebody for lack of effort. Professional sports are incredibly hard. And my father had a phrase when I was a kid. He was a big KU basketball fan. And he would say whenever they lost, when I was really little and I was really upset, he would say, you know, there's boys on the other team on scholarship too. And it's something I think as sports fans, we just tend to forget, like the other team is also good. And so for me, I've always found booing to be fundamentally disrespectful, not just of your team, but of the other team as well. that you're so upset at your guy that it doesn't even enter your mind that maybe they're just getting beat by other professional athletes who are performing well, that it's worthy, not because they're not trying hard, but because they're just not executing. They're just not having success. You don't think these guys want to have success? And so I find it to be counterproductive. I find it, at the very least, it's not productive. At the absolute most, I feel like the best argument in favor of booing is, well, I'm allowed to. I have every right to. I am justified in doing so. And to that, I can only say, okay, yes, you are. There's lots of things that you are allowed or justified to do out there in the world. And I am allowed or justified to look at people and go, probably not for the best. You're not helping your cause. You're not helping your team. Like, you're probably hurting your team. You're probably hurting your cause. And you're probably just hurting yourself. And I would suggest, though not demand, you consider another course of action.
I do want to say, though, that before we started this, Rudo actually said that Eric, with his booze, helped him
right
out on the golf course.
So this is where you and I started to get into it in the comments section, right? Is this notion of like corrective booing, of like, oh, well, sometimes people will boo you and that'll make you do better. And like the two examples that were given on the Broncos podcast were Philadelphia and Buffalo. And did I miss the dynasties for those two teams somewhere? Did I miss where the booing has spurred them on to give the finger to their own fans and everyone who doubted them and all the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl championships of my lifetime? Did I fall asleep for 30 years? Like, so I've always thought that was a really funny thing. Philly in general, Philly, the city known for booing its own teams. How many championships do they have across the four major sports in the last?
Denver.
8 or 9. They have more than Denver. They have 8 or 9.
I mean, still, it's not. They're not dynasties out there. That's not a lot, man. That's.
All I'm saying.
Explain it. Yeah, the Eagles.
Okay, so obviously I'm from Philadelphia, grew up there. I personally have not booed my team, but I understand if other people want to boo the Eagles or boo whoever their team. No matter what, even when the Eagles have sucked, the Phillies have sucked, the Flyers have sucked, no matter what, that stadium and those arenas are packed with Philadelphians. And players, I know that they have to like accept it because like that's just the fan base that they're dealing with. But players have said, you know what? At least they care. At least even when we haven't won a single game, maybe they're booing us. But when we do score a touchdown, it is still going crazy and loud because the fans care enough to still be here even when we suck. And so I understand people not wanting to boo and not liking that. I personally have not booed my own team because I'm happy when they win. I want things to go well. But Philadelphia is just that way in that they're just really passionate sports fans and they're going to show up and they might boo you. But then when you do something great, AJ would laugh because I said doo-doo. They celebrate like no other and they go crazy. And during that Eagles Super Bowl celebration and parade, like fans were like, players were like, wow, like this just means, like some players who had been in Super Bowl parades in other cities are like, it just means something else to these fans because of how intense they are. And so that's just the way I see it from that side. Again, I personally haven't booed, but if you want to boo, then that's fine.
Are we going to get to booing not your own team later on? Should I save this?
What do you mean?
Is that a different category?
You're completely neutering the boo if you can only use it against your own team. Like,
no, everyone is a potential target of booing.
Because that, like, when you can boo the other team, when you can boo Gary Bettman every time he exists, I mean, this is where the boo's versatility comes in and becomes a great, useful tool. Every time, there's a handful of players that come into the Pepsi Center, PK Subban, anyone with the last name Bertuzzi, anytime they touch the puck, just eruption of boos from the crowd. It's one of the best things ever. So
yeah, that I'm 100% for. I remember being at all those games back when every time Kobe Bryant would touch the basketball, though again, maybe I don't think it was correct. I don't think he was responding to the boos by having great games in Denver. I'm pretty sure, and you can check me on this, that Kobe Bryant was just a phenomenal basketball player. But yeah, no. Being like boo the other team all day, like because again, my thing is, you're hurting your own team when you boo your own team, especially when you direct it at a specific player. Then it's really like again, unless that guy's
I do want to
not
clarify
trying.
though. There was some.
Yeah.
I do really quick. I do. When people go over the line, when people are saying like chirping is better, but some fans get really aggressive and mean and directed towards players, and some of the stuff they say is just flat out messed up. And so I do not agree with that. And I do think Ryan mentioned that on their show too. Like Broncos players were going after certain players and saying some messed up things, and so definitely not for that. But when it comes to booing, it's just another thing. All right, we'll let other people talk. RK, Eric, what are you thinking? RK, you can go first.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nuance to this. One, I do believe in corrective booing. When it's directed at the team, I think the team hears the message, and it's not like it makes them try harder or anything like that, but it puts a chip on their shoulder. And as we know from countless events in sports, chips on shoulders is a good thing. And I think, I honestly believe that the Broncos fans that were booing the team this last week fired the team up. And it's because the team hasn't stopped talking about it all week. It clearly had an impact on them in one way or another, and they enjoyed turning those boos into cheers. With that being said, I have never booed one of my teams. I don't think I would, because I'm just I feel like I'm with Drew in the sense that like I want to support them. I'm much more likely to yell something about keeping your head up than I am about getting your shit together. But I will say, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, Allie, and maybe this will lead well into what Spencer has to say. If you're going after a certain player, if you're making personal attacks, any of that stuff, even if you're just booing, then you should expect to, or you should at least be okay with the team giving it back. Because Spencer, can maybe tell the story without creating any headlines here, but, when you're yelling at a player, if they yell back at you, you don't get to act like the victim. And if you boo the team, and then the team comes out after the game and says, "Yo, that was BS that y'all were booing us," you don't get to whine and be like, "Well, you weren't playing good." It has to be able to go both ways here. So if you're gonna dish it out, you got to be able to take the reverse criticism.
I agree, Spencer. You can tell the story that Ryan's kind of referring to without headlines, apparently, without creating headlines.
So whoever plays the most important position on the Broncos.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Well, this isn't confirmed. I had quite a few lemonades with double shots of raspberry vodka, so this could be completely just my mind making this up. But at the end of the game, there was definitely a fan right behind the Broncos bench. That was, and you could hear it almost in the mic screaming, "I love you, I love you." And there was a few choice players that were definitely caught on the Jumbotron going, no, not after that first half and what we heard, word for word. And so, and I'm with Ryan on that. It's just if you're going to stand there and run your mouth, there's no reason for them not to do it back to you. Even Dalton Reisner, even some of the offensive linemen were doing the same thing where they were no, they were basically we don't want to hear it. Don't cheer for us. It's fine. You didn't cheer for us the whole first half. You were down on us. I personally didn't boo myself. I'm kind of like you guys said. I love to boo the referees. Those are the only people I love to absolutely slaughter with. I watched the game 3 times on a missed holding call early in the first half. But as far as booing my own team, I don't necessarily believe in it. But as everybody's kind of related to, I'm not going to tell someone how to fan. But at the same time, it's dude, you just kind of if you're going to boo, that's fine, but you don't get to cheer at the end. Or if they win, you don't get to be yeah, knew it the whole time. No.
See, that's where I'll disagree. I don't think you have to I don't think you can literally be I called it, they were gonna win. But I mean, the boos and the cheers, the cheers are always going to be louder than the boos eventually at the end of the day.
It's a
But
raw
real quick, before you
emotional
guys keep talking, I do want fans
No
who are
joy.
watching this, subscribers, anyone who's listening to this, definitely give us your takes on it. I have a few people in the comments that I'll read later talking about how they were at the game, they booed, how they feel about it. So I definitely want to hear some more opinions on it. So write it in the chat for the live stream. Okay. Rudo, what were you saying?
If you boo at one point and you cheer at the end, I think that's fine. It's a raw, it's emotion from the fans. I think that's perfectly fine. And from my point of view, look, if I'm making league minimum in the NHL, $600,000, you can do a lot worse than boo at me, and I'll be cool with it. Like, I don't mind that side of it, but with everything, there's a limit, right? Like, everyone has to draw a line.
Oh, yeah.
Philly Flyers fans notorious for not only booing but starting to throw stuff on the ice, and that's
I
where
disagree with that.
things get a little bit too far, right? Like, you can't be physically endangering people, but from the fan perspective, they're there for entertainment, and if they're entertained by booing their own team, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So
all right, Eric, how do you feel?
So I lustily booed Tim Tebow. I lustily booed Ian Desmond. I did not.
What does a lusty boo sound like?
Oh, you've not heard, like,
sure.
very guttural, very deep. Like it comes from a deep place inside, and you project and you make sure that it's heard. Did not boo Will Barton. Did boo Ian Desmond. Absolutely booed Tim Tebow. Did not boo Kyle Orton. Booing is.
Do you have like a whole list of players that you do and don't boo?
Whenever I see these players, I will boo.
Booing is part of the language of sports. It is absolutely appropriate whenever you feel like it's a conversation you're having with the players on the field. You cheer for them, you boo for them. Like, you can boo your own players and still love them. You can get into an argument with a family member and then still be friends at the end of the day. If you start throwing insults and being personal, that's one thing, but you can say, like, I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't approve of what's going on right now. Like, the people that were booing the Broncos weren't booing Drew Lock. They were booing the performance that the Broncos put out.
Sure.
They're putting it out on
a lot of
field.
comments have said that they were at the game and they were booing, but they were booing the coaches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
I'm sure Drew Lock made that distinction.
I mean,
but then what happens?
No one can tell what's happening.
Drew Lock goes into the locker room. He comes out and plays one of the better games of his career. Like, it's just that's how sports are. Like, it's you cheer, you boo. I mean, it's sports take you down to a level of just, you're not having a spirited debate with the guys on the field. You're like, I wish that you would use better judgment while coming up with a game plan. You clearly, I mean, like, you go boo, and they hear it, and then they go yay, and that's what sports are. Like, what are you doing here? Like, sports are just have that part of your brain.
Each other.
This is always funny every time we have one of these interactions, Drew, where it's like, you clearly understand what this means in the world of professional wrestling. Like, you understand that the crowd boos the heel, and that's like part of the game, is that they're putting on an entertainment for you, and you can respond to it in the same way you can do it with a comedian, or people do this with entertainment. Like, I like what I'm seeing, I don't like what I'm seeing. Very base level conversation. And but again, like, when it gets like personal and like honestly mean, like, and we get past the point where we take it out of sport, like the world of sport, like, I'm out on that 1,000%. Like, I would never. Oh, good.
I was just gonna say, I think that leads me to the direct and obvious, like, ganging up on a very specific player kind of crosses the line for me, and I think Garrett Bowles is a perfect example for this.
Yes, exactly.
Like, Garrett Bowles, the situation there is weird to me, because, like, it's very obvious to me, it was when he was struggling, that he was in his head. And so, going to Drew's point, you are definitely making it worse by booing him. And if you go back and look at some of his worst games, his mistakes pile on top of each other. All the while, the home fans are booing him. And that crosses the line a bit to me. But I will,
And now he's having his best season ever.
Every Rockies reliever ever of all time was just like, oh my god, story of my life.
Or even, I mean, can you imagine if fans?
One.
Can you imagine if fans like really did boo every single game John Gray when he was struggling with his mental stuff? Like, for sure, some players are can handle it more than others.
And I think a lot of times the anger is misguided. I think that the person that you should be mad at is not Garrett Bowles for trying his hardest and not doing the job. It's John Elway for drafting him in the first round. It's not Ian Desmond for not being able to get a hit. It's Jeff Bridich for paying however many $1 million. You know, think about who's putting them in the position to fail. And in the end, like, it's not their fault. It's not their fault usually. Unless you're talking about an effort thing.
But like, to play devil's advocate there a little bit, like Jacob mentioned in the chat, people didn't boo the 16-17 Avs. A lot of people don't boo the Rockies very often because boos come up from a place of.
They don't get heard on TV. People boo the Rockies.
All right, fair enough, but it isn't screaming boos because people don't expect them to be good anymore. Boos come from an expectation of quality play. The fans believe that the team can be better. The 16-17 Avs, when they get blown out, you start chanting for the other team to score 10 goals because that's the most entertaining thing you can do.
Yeah.
You just don't expect anything different. And I agree with Ryan in saying a lot of the time the direction of the boos can be misguided, but I do think it comes from a fan base place of thinking that the team should be better.
It's absolutely true. It's like that is the exact way to look at it. It is the diametric opposite of the cheer, which is you are emotionally engaged and you are living in your emotions, which is, for me, like, that's what sports are. Like, I have every other place to go with my intellectual entertainment. Like, I'll go to movies, I'll go to things that are actually challenging that part of my brain and ask that part of my brain to be engaged. Sports are like, I want this to happen. It didn't happen. I'm mad. Like, I want to be dumb as a sports fan. I want, like, that's really truly what I want. Like, that's the way. I mean, anybody who's gone to a game with me, like, I have fourth thing. I cheer. I scream, let's go. I boo if it's the other tier, and I say, you suck. And you suck is reserved for the other team. But the home team can get a boo if they deserve it, but they rarely get boos. But I'm
Eric, when he screams "you suck," it like is truly from his core. He's like, "You suck."
Yeah, and it thunders. It echoes throughout the arena.
What's your best chirp of a player, Eric? That's what I want to know.
Just says "you suck."
Just "you suck." Nothing clever. That's disappointing.
No, you don't realize it's the most universal because then the player takes it on and they have to decide why it is they suck.
No, I want to see more specific chirps here. All right.
So I have a story.
Wait. Before we keep going, I gotta go to an ad break. I'm sorry.
You're interrupting a perfect transition into my story.
Fine. If Lindsay asks anyone, it's your fault.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Come get me, Lindsay.
You suck.
So when I was a kid, I want to say I'm about, we'll just say 10 years old. I was at a CU versus Missouri game, and it's maybe it's 11 or 12. It's at the age where you're starting to talk smack and you're trying to look cool in front of your friends. And as the Missouri team is coming out of the tunnel, we're like right next to it. And the quarterback for Missouri was a guy by the name of Brad Smith, who played a little bit in the NFL as a wide receiver. And so I'm like between him and my computer, like this close, and I just yell, "You suck!" like right at him, and he just stops and just looks at me and just like raises his eyebrow, and I was literally just filled with so much regret so quickly. Like it was like that first time where like there was like a wall broken down between me and them. Like I just thought it was like they were invincible, and he was just like looking at me, and I'm just like this little kid, and my heart sunk, and I was just like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. I froze. Yeah, I suck. It was really bad, and like I can still feel the way I felt in that moment. I felt so guilty.
The white hot shame. I love it.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm glad that was a good story. All right. Before we keep going, the NFL season is obviously in full swing and the action is still unfolding. So head over to DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app with so many storylines across both professional, the NFL, and college. This is the time to check out all the DraftKings Sportsbook has to offer. If you haven't tried the app yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss the awesome deals that they have. Most of DNVR was wrong yesterday when it came to CSU Wyoming, weren't they? Yep, they did not cover the spread.
Wyoming didn't cover the spread.
Yeah, okay. I'm just still learning my betting terms and the way I say this. So congrats to anyone who did actually win some money on betting on CSU for winning that border war. But this week, DraftKings, to celebrate Sunday's action, DraftKings is ensuring all new users are covered up to $100. That's right. You bet. They cover with risk-free Sunday betting. This weekend, Denver is taking on Atlanta in a clash of two high-flying offenses. So get in on all the action now. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code DNVR when you sign up to get this can't-miss offer. That's right, you bet, and they cover up to $100 when you use the promo code DNVR during sign-up. For a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Risk-free coverage paid out in site credits. Important. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're going to get into that Broncos Falcons game in a little bit and see what Ryan and the rest of the guys think about that spread. But you can always listen to DNVR Bets Daily to figure out what you should place your money on. They've been doing pretty well, right, Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
Your parlays have been hitting sunglass time.
Yeah, I'm a parlay guy now. No one ever expected it, but I've quintupled my account in the last week and a half.
I'm sad you're going down the parlay hole that Andre is in.
It's all about just knowing when to wean yourself off, you know? Like, drugs can be okay as long as you don't get too deep into them.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
He's right.
Okay, there
Everything in
are
moderation.
children who watch this, so or at least younger people.
Hey, I'm being true to me.
He's speaking his truth, Allie. Come on.
Everything in moderation.
Does anyone else have a story like Ryan talked about? Do you remember a certain time, Spencer?
I've got one. So Mitchell and I actually, this is only 2 years ago, but we had that same feeling that Ryan had. We were sitting courtside at the Nuggets game. They were playing the Clippers. And we're at the courtside seats on the end of the Clippers bench. And so we're at the end of the Clippers bench, and we are giving DeAndre Jordan shit all night long, like the entire night, just chirping him. And they can clearly hear us, but it was only when he was on the court. So I forget who it was, but he throws down a monster alley-oop and looks right at us and gives us a wink. And I was like, oh my God, he's like hearing this. And so then he comes back to the bench. He literally sits down 2 seats from us, looks right at Mitchell, like looks Mitchell dead in the eye and gives him like the blow a kiss face and just doesn't do anything the rest of the game. And I was just like, oh my God. And that was when Nuggets got blown out that game. And we were like, okay, this is not what we should have done. Like he just destroyed us. It was so bad. And we were just sitting there the rest of the game, just not saying a word.
Who was the player again?
DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, he literally stared Mitchell down for 20 seconds and then blew a kiss at him. And I was like, yeah, we are wrong. We messed up.
We messed up. We should not have done that. I do want to, Drew, I didn't hear from you. How do you feel about players chirping back? I think most of you talked about how you feel like that's okay. Rudo, Drew, what do you guys think?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah?
Go for it,
All
Drew.
right.
I mean, yeah. Like you guys said earlier, if someone's gonna chirp at you, chirp back. I've always had again, it's more about like, I don't know. I have this big theory in life. We've got to get better at just judging each other. All these people want to be like, I don't judge anyone, or I don't want anyone to judge me. I'm just very non-judgmental. BS. We're all judging each other all the time. Just be honest with it. That's all you have to do is say like, oh, that guy does a lot of chirping. I don't particularly like that. I'm not going to root for that guy. I'm not going to like that guy. I'm not going to want him to succeed if they do too much chirping for your liking. I have a particular appreciation. I just do it this way. If somebody happens to get back at someone who was getting at them or whatever, and they can no sell it. I love that so much better. Like, I just think that that's dope. If you can, and again, this is coming from baseball. I think a lot of this, like Eric was talking about, having this very guttural, emotional reaction to sports. Like, I was 4 years old and they handed me the pack of cards with like 1 billion statistics on the back of them. And it was immediately an intellectualized experience. And so for me, and baseball is literally, you sit there and talk about from pitch to pitch. Is he going to go with this? Is he going to go with that? Is he coming high and hard? Is he going away from him? And it's a continuing conversation. It's almost, the conversation is as much a part of it as the game. So, but a lot of people do have super emotional reactions to it as well. There's kind of a battle there a little bit more in baseball. Even the culture of the game, like inside, like there are all these unwritten rules and all this nonsense and the unpacking of like, are you allowed to flip your bat or jog a little slower around the bases? And is the proper punishment for that rules. Attempted murder with a 99 mile an hour fastball? It's just like, it's crazy world is baseball when it comes to this whole conversation. So like, there was a couple of years ago in Arizona when the Rockies did end up going to the postseason, when some fans behind home plate were really giving it to him, and he like struck out in the first couple at bats, and it was a tight game. It was late in the season. Rockies and Diamondbacks were neck and neck, and then he hit like a 2 or 3 run jack to put Colorado up. And for the first time in his career, stepped on home plate, looked at the guy, was like, "That was for you, buddy." And like in that minute, you're just like,
and I loved it. Like, chirping is so ingrained in hockey culture as just something that's par for the course. That it's just part of the game, like 100%. And it's an opportunity, it's an avenue in hockey to be extremely creative. Some of the most well-known fan chirps in sports are the Green Men in Vancouver, who sit next to the penalty box and throw pancakes at the glass. And it's the most nonsensical thing ever. Everybody loves it. Like, it's one of the coolest things I've seen in
throw them pancakes.
Oh my goodness. I said I wanted to go to Nashville to watch a fish thrown on the ice, and now I want to go there and see pancakes thrown.
They retired like years ago, but it's an excellent thing.
I'll look at some YouTube videos.
The best chirp I've ever had, as we're playing Vancouver back when the Sedins were still playing, and one of the Sedins picked up the puck. I forget what it is, and it was a pretty quiet night in the Pepsi Center, and I yelled at him that his brother was adopted. And just like the fans around me all kind of laughed, and he lost the puck a couple seconds later. Probably had nothing to do with me, but I'm taking credit for it. So,
oh my goodness!
Nothing makes me happier than just having like a safe space to be like that level of petty and jerk in an area that then does not connect to society outside.
Well,
society at large. Like,
I don't even want it to be a safe space. Like, I want to get a player reaction back. Like,
well, no, I know, but I mean, like, but I mean, then you leave the arena and like somebody cuts you off, and you go, okay, like,
sure, yeah. Like, it's contained to the arena, 100%.
People have inherently these feelings inside of them, and it's like they're going to be expressed somewhere in your life.
The problem is sometimes that crosses over into real life. Everyone knows that the worst version of me is at the Rocky Mountain Showdown, and
or in the slack around it.
That's when I absolutely hit my rock.
No. You guys have seen nothing compared to the way. Ryan had to tell one of his girlfriends in college, like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't go to this game together."
Yeah, not good. Anyways, I went to that game when I was like a sophomore in college, and it's so early in the school year that you haven't really met anyone in your classes and whatnot yet. And then I got to class the next Monday, and the girl sitting next to me was just like, "Hey, weren't you the guy in the stands just screaming peasants the entire game at CSU?" and I was just like, no, definitely wasn't me.
I get that all the time, though. I look like that guy.
You're like, that does not sound like something I would say, especially
not
a peasant like you. Boo! See, for me, I just go with a "you suck." Like, the the other team's going off. You suck. And
There's no nuance there. I
But you
need a
don't
little more
realize-
creativity.
Oh,
you
no,
don't realize
exactly.
the nuance is in the delivery. Like that's
Ryan-
it's the way that the Smurfs use the word Smurf. Like it could
Ryan's
mean anything.
creativity when it comes to chirping is one of a kind. I mean, he truly puts a lot of effort in the chirps that he does to fans and other teams. It's really like never directed at someone. It's more like he's talking to me.
Yeah.
And
loud.
it really
Yeah.
very loud, and I'm like, shut up. And these Dodgers fans are like, oh my god,
That's
if
why
this
Ryan and I
guy
get along.
doesn't stop
This is why Ryan and I
talking.
get along so well. This is absolutely why Ryan and I get along so well.
Going back to, we were talking about players reacting back. Broncos fans were really upset this week with fans or players reacting back on Twitter, even past the game. Like you said, Ryan, it's been going, something they've talked about all week long, but I think it gave them this kind of like swag when they won. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to boo us. It gives you, sometimes it really does put that chip on your shoulder and you're like, ha, I proved you wrong. I'm going to keep proving you wrong. Keep trying to do that to me. You guys want to be fans. And so I think good for you. Like you guys said, if you got to be able to take it back if you're going to be chirping at it. But it seems like the Broncos have a different type of swag and confidence this week heading into that Atlanta game. And that's a good transition to go into. How do you feel about that game, Ryan? There are a few players we already learned, like AJ Boye, who won't be playing. How big of an impact is that going to have on this team?
Yeah, that really sucks because he absolutely would have been the guy covering Julio Jones in most situations. Julio Jones is an absolute man freak, so good luck. You're going to put Bryce Callahan on him now. Bryce Callahan, wow, feisty, is not a physical comparison to Julio Jones. So that it's already going to be really tough. We don't know yet about Tim Patrick. He's questionable. He helps a lot because you can get vertical on this Falcons secondary, so you want him to be out there. Phil should play, which obviously is extremely important. But man, there is so this team has a really great opportunity in front of them. The idea that they could have started 0-3 and get back to 4-4 just 8 games into the season is an incredible opportunity. And they're playing an extremely, extremely beatable Falcons team. So I'm not going to make injury excuses for them because I know it's going to make it tougher. I think that they can still win this game. You're probably not going to have Shelby Harris because of COVID protocols, even though he doesn't have COVID. So it's going to be tough. But I still think based on the lack of defense that the Falcons possess, the Broncos should be able to kind of bend, don't break on their side of the defense. And if they can get in the end zone, they should win the game. So it's going to be a little bit tougher out there with some of the injuries, but I still think they have a great opportunity.
How does everyone else feel? Eric, Spencer, Drew, Rudo, give me a little quick take while I find the spread real quick.
I'm feeling
It's 4.
Oh, it's 4? Are you sure?
The Broncos are getting 4 points. And give me the Broncos in 4 all day. I'll also take the money line at plus 140, 145, I'm guessing, somewhere in there. Like Ryan said.
Money line plus 175.
Oh,
really? Okay.
juicy.
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, the Falcons are playing, or the Broncos are playing a carbon copy of what they played last week. Same team. They're explosive offensively. They blow late leads. So if I'm not booing at halftime at this game, I know there's a fair chance they can come back. Right? And like Ryan said, with Shelby Harris not being able to play, I think I saw today that he will not, he can't get out of COVID protocol in time. I don't know if that's confirmed or not.
Weirdly, he's saying that, but then Vic Fangio said it's a less than 50% chance. So I guess technically 0 is less than 50. So maybe he was just playing, semantics there.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. But yeah, injuries aside, Michael Ojemudia has been good this year. We'll get to see more from Bassie. Bryce Callahan, the number 2 rated corner on PFF right now. But like Ryan said, that's the thing is he's such a good cover corner, but trying to guard Julio Jones takes a special type of corner. And maybe Bryce can do it, but Bryce is better off in the slot. But we'll see. I mean, the more time these rookies get, it does suck. We're building to be a good team, building to be a great team, hopefully, with the young core. But, like, getting time for guys like Michael Ojemudia, who probably shouldn't have really played this year and now is getting big-time minutes. He was guarding Mike Williams a lot of the game and getting picked on. But at the same time, there's no better way to learn than being out on the field. So I think the Broncos do win this game for sure.
I'll also say this. It's really important that the Falcons not get Calvin Ridley back. He hasn't practiced, so it's most likely that he won't play. And if that's the case, you don't necessarily have to put Bryce Callahan on Julio Jones. You could put Ojemudia and then just bracket him with a safety over the top. So if that's only if they don't have Calvin Ridley. If they have Calvin Ridley, well, it's going to be a tough matchup for everyone across the board. But they might have a better chance to get more creative with how they cover Julio Jones if Calvin Ridley isn't out there.
Okay, real quick, I want to read some of these comments of people because I said I would read it. Logan here said, if I was at the game and I was a person who booed. However, I wasn't booing any of the players, but I was mostly booing Pat Shurmur, which I saw a lot of people agree with that.
Coaches, totally fair targets in my opinion.
Michael Harrison here said, like Sam Bennett, glaring at me because I told him to shave his mustache was an all-time moment for me. Jacob Hunt, I remember the Week 17 Chargers game in 2016. The fans booed Brock going into the locker room at halftime. Later, Peyton Manning returned later that game. He also said baseball players responding to certain chirps are pretty funny. Of course, you got to throw in throw balls at Santa, of course. Master Tater over here saying, wow, what a name. I only boo refs and bad coaching decisions, to be honest. I was at the game, and if I was at the game, I would have booed the coaches. No remorse here saying Desmond does not deserve to get booed. Eric.
That's an Desmond Burner account.
I know. Nice to talk to you, Ian.
Jacob Hunt said, I will admit I booed Brock when he was the starter over Manning. We can argue booing the Rockies management during the past decade. And then
You suck.
let me
they
see.
were out on the field, then sure.
It's a game-by-game job performance review from the fans.
If you're at Coors Field, you can definitely boo Dick Monfort. I know right where he sits.
Oh, yeah.
I on the flip side, I shook his hand when the Rockies were killing it. I saw it, and I was like, "Hey, attaboy, Dick!" And I gave him a pound.
And then you shook him.
No,
Okay.
it was love.
Shout out to the Rapids for heading to the playoffs. Definitely, that's dope. And then we've got Scott Carpenter here saying, wanted to ask Eric and everyone else what shirt I should get from the DNVR store. Ryan said to get the homegrown after the Broncos game, but I'm worried he won't be a Bronco for too long. There's a lot of really great shirts. Eric, which one do you recommend Scott gets?
I get the classic DNVR, the logo of this show. The all team logo shirt.
Oh yeah.
Not only that, like any of those navy blue shirts are printed on my favorite version of the shirts that we use. Like the blend of that is somehow softer and more inviting every time I put it on.
I don't know. The orange, I think, is the softest one.
That's a different brand, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I one thing about the homegrown, like how long? I mean, the lifespan of a T-shirt is how, like, Philip Lindsay's going to be here for at least all of this year and all of next year. Like at that point, I feel like you've gotten the return on investment on your T-shirt.
Also, I did hear from Brandon Spano, our CEO, that we will be restocking the CU Philip Lindsay homegrown. So if you want to stick to the college instead of getting a Broncos one just because you're worried, you could definitely do that.
Plus, black and gold is definitely better than blue and orange.
That's a hot take. A lot of people will get upset with you.
No, it's not.
Lindsay will fight you. Lindsay has already argued about orange being the best color, Ryan.
I mean, I don't even need to defend that.
I'm not saying I agree. I'm just telling you. Thomas here said, "Oh my Lord, that's the most attractive creature I've ever seen." Talking about D-line. There you go. And then he later asks, "Where's your?" He says, "I want to be in your safe space, Eric."
We don't have to read every. We don't have to read every comment, Allie.
I want to read. He wants to.
Did you ever see the clip of?
Yes.
We
Lillard in
on
the
all those
column.
comments, bruh.
Hello, Denver family. I want to read some of these. We've got a lot of interaction, and we appreciate when people are watching the live stream. So
Okay,
I want to make
I
sure.
don't like people treating Eric like a piece of meat.
Okay, well,
I kind of do.
What
actually here for
happens
it.
when your only chirp is "you suck"? Okay.
I mean, and Tom is here
Really
saying
stick
if I don't get a shout out, I won't love you anymore, Eric. So that you could do what you want with that if you want to give him a shout out.
I already said it. Shout out Thomas Gordon. Let's go.
There you go. Okay.
Man.
Before we finish up, Green Mountain Dental Group is in Lakewood, and they are one of the best Denver owned dentists in the metro area. They're extreme Colorado sports fans, and they treat you truly like family. Our sales director, Lindsay, got her wisdom teeth removed from there. I am eventually getting my wisdom teeth removed, and I will only be going there because of how great they are. She said that it was the best dentist experience of her life. And, when you're getting your wisdom teeth out, you need a good dentist who's going to take care of you. They send you a personal card to your home after becoming a new patient. And when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam at Green Mountain Dental Group, you receive a free Sonicare toothbrush. You get free stuff just by going to Green Mountain Dental Group. So definitely check them out. My computer's at 2%, which is why I'm talking really quickly. But, Drew, I'm getting a bunch of ESPN notifications. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be getting those notifications saying David Dahl is probably going to get traded this offseason. A few little things like that. So I would just like you to let me know how you think, because I read it. Rockies will trade David Dahl and make some moderate signings.
What alerts are you getting?
From ESPN.
Just
Man,
opinions?
absolute certainty about what the Colorado Rockies will do in the future sure is a position to hold. But it makes all the sense in the world that they would actually. Patrick and I just published a series we've been doing this offseason. Make sure you're subscribed to the DNVR.com. And we've been running through each of the players called Rocks or Roll. I know the name of my own series. It's fine. I'm a writer. It's okay. And the idea is basically we run through their season for you. We let you know. We give you all the statistics, and then they'll contract where they're at right now, and then we let you know whether or not we think they're going to be with the Rockies next year or whether we think they're going to roll on up out of here. And David Dahl was a player that we were a little bit split on, and both talked about, it makes a ton of sense in the world to trade this guy if you can get anything resembling a decent, fair value for him. You can't keep continuing to hope that he's going to be healthy every single season because he's never been healthy. At the max, I think he's played 100 games at his best. He's missed time every single season. The flip side of it is every time he's on the field, he's been good, really, except for this very small sample size in 2020. So if you can get relatively decent value for David Dahl, you can get out from underneath paying him a little bit of money. For his sake, you probably send him somewhere where it's going to be easier for him to stay healthy because he won't have this whole altitude problem. And if somebody out there, again, it's like you can't sell low on David Dahl. I don't like the idea of that. But opening up some roster space, sending him somewhere where he's going to do better, getting value for a kid who's been an all-star, who's still in the middle of his physical prime, who could bring back some talent that, frankly, you're not going to get in free agency. Nobody's going out. No one who's not the Yankees, Dodgers, or Red Sox is going out signing big free agents right now. You want the Rockies to shake it up a little bit. This is a way they can do it. And all they're really losing. And look, I've been a long time believer in David Dahl. I met him in 2013 for the first time. I still think he'll succeed out there.
Oh,
good take.
Great. Of all
great
times
screen.
to freeze.
Way too much positive energy on this chirping episode is what that was.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna get Drew back. He might have to log on here. So real quick, Eric, Nuggets NBA is back in 3 weeks. They said December 1st. How excited are you?
Wow, that's really fast. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
It is like a little bit crazy because of all the things that need to happen between now and the beginning of the season, which I thought they were actually going to tip off the 22nd. but whatever.
Yeah.
Like
training camp, right?
Yeah,
Training
training
camp
camp.
starts
Okay,
December
cool.
1st.
Right. Yeah. So things are going to happen really, really quickly. Very compressed off season, very obviously. But the off season is terrible, and so it's like great to get back in it. Like it's funny. Like we think about. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, honestly, I like having a different draft of random things every day. So that's the regular season.
I know, but it's funny. Like a lot, the general public and everybody that's been paying attention to basketball, like the season just ended, but for most of the teams in the NBA, like they've not played basketball for almost a year at this point. Like it's getting to that place. If you were not invited to the bubble, you've just been watching. You've been just sitting back and just waiting for something to happen for so extremely long that like most people are just absolutely chomping at the bit to go. So, I mean, I love basketball, so I'm excited for it.
Oh, your puppies in the back.
Yeah, they're going nuts.
They're really excited for Nuggets to be back. Okay, yes. So December 1st is training camp. December 22nd. Sorry, I see a few people in the comments talking about that. But we heard back from the NHL that they thought that training camp would be starting in November, but they're thinking more January now. January, possibly February. We have some people here saying, I can't wait for NHL season.
It will be the 2021 season. There will be no 2020 part of this NHL season for sure at this point. Maybe if we're lucky, training camps start in late December, but it's not going to happen very soon. But hopefully, look, the NHLPA said the other week they still want to have a full 82 game season. I don't really see how that's possible in a shortened year, but maybe they can work something out. When it comes back, it's going to come back in full swing. So I'm excited for a proper hockey season, whatever it ends up looking like.
We have the NBA draft November 18th on Wednesday. And of course, just like all of our other drafts that we've gone through, we will be having a huge show, DNVR Draft Day Live NBA edition. It's going to be so much fun. So definitely look out for some of the graphics coming out for that and for the show and what time and all of that good stuff. And if hopefully we'll have a watch party at the bar and we'll go from there. But it's going to be fun. And it'll be interesting to see the way the draft plays out for the NBA with the Nuggets having that 22nd pick.
Yeah, you should check out also, Brendan and Harrison have been doing a bunch of prospect profiles every day. They profile a new potential draft pick for the Nuggets, and they've been doing an excellent job. It'll really get you caught up on where you need to be.
How many Serbians are they up to now?
There is one Serbian. There's one Serbian that we're all just twiddling our fingers for. His name is Pokashevsky. Pokashevsky is his last name. Everyone calls him Poku. So he already has a nickname. We're already completely all in on this guy. He's like 11 years old and is like 7 to 10. I don't know. It's like one of those guys.
I imagine he's like a TikTok star.
yeah. Poku has definite TikTok vibes.
Oh God. Drew, so you got caught out at the perfect moment. You were literally like
honestly
this.
Good on David Dahl takes, though. It's cool.
All right. I'm the host of this show. You can go out of there if you want to. No, but Drew, speaking of all the other seasons starting start dates, we talked this in our meeting the other day. It looks like baseball is going to just have they're hoping to have like a regular season with everything starting like normal with winter meetings and all that stuff.
Yeah, they're going to try. I mean, I think spring training is probably going to be really weird, but other than that, it'll be fine. It's not like I have no idea if fans are going to be allowed, and if not, there might not be any reason to do spring training where you normally do. So they might just like have some camps that they might not televise it. So yeah, I think, but the timeline, I think will be pretty close to normal.
Sports, they're coming back, and we've got the Broncos on Sunday, the Buffs tomorrow against the UCLA. CSU played yesterday. We're getting more and more sports, and thank you for riding with us at DNVR. That's all we've got for this week's show. Definitely leave us any comments if you guys want us to talk about anything specific, and don't forget to leave us a nice little review. And if you leave a review, a good review, of course, I will read your review on the podcast. And that's all. Go drink some Breck Brews if you're in town. Go to the bar, and we'll see how the weekend of sports goes. But all right,
20
that's it.
28-3. Drew Lock wears number 3. The Broncos wear orange. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Wow, just like that.
Tell me
See
what
what sports
that
do
means.
for us.
What?
Wow.
Okay.
That was
All
just
right.
for me and like 10 people listening.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.